Have you ever wondered how exactly these card fraudsters are able to pull off online card fraud so easily? If so, then I need you to watch this video so you can stay one step ahead of these fraudsters and protect your money. What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Infamous Ghost Money, and today I wanted to make this video on how fraudsters are able to pull off online card fraud and of course how you could defend against it. This is a follow-up to my last credit card fraud video where I focused on physical card fraud. In this video, we're going to take a deep dive into how these scammers are able to pull off these schemes from right in front of their computers online. So as always, if you find value in the video, hit that like button to get this information out in front of more viewers, and of course subscribe to the channel so you can catch more of my content on financial fraud and how you could defend against it. I appreciate you all. Alright, so we're going to break this video down into 4 parts. First, we're going to cover some of the basic terms that's used in the online card fraud world. Next, we're going to have an understanding of how card fraudsters are able to get their information. Third, we're going to look at exactly how they're able to pull off this scheme online. And lastly, I'm going to share some easy ways you could defend against online card fraud. So we got a lot to cover. Get your pen and paper and let's jump right into it. Online card fraudsters, aka carders, speak their own language, and if you aren't aware of it, they could be communicating in clear sight and you'd have no idea. So before we can get into the nitty-gritty, it's important we do a quick run through of some of the basic terms that are used in the online card fraud world. First set of terms we're going to cover is dumps, fulls, and logs. This is all scammer talk for sets of stolen personal information. This can include things such as credit card numbers, and other personal information such as address, date of birth, and social security numbers. This information could be from a single consumer, or it could be up to batches of hundreds of consumers' personal information. Next term is BIN numbers, aka bank identification number. This is the first 6 digits of the credit card or debit card number. A BIN number determines the card issuer, the card type, and the level of security, and also the regional area that a card is issued from, which is important when attempting to successfully pull off online shopping with stolen information. The next set of terms is the CVV1 and the CVV2 code. These codes are important in determining how exactly a fraudster will be pulling off their scam. I know it's a little backwards, but for the sake of simplicity, we're going to start off with the CVV2 code since that's the most common one. The CVV2 code is the 3-digit number you see on the back of your card, which is used when you're making online purchases, which is also known as a CNP, or card not present transaction. This allows merchants to know that this purchase is being done remotely or being done online and not in person. The CVV1 code is programmed directly onto the magnetic strip in the EMV chip of a card, and this is read by the card reader and is part of the process in authenticating a card transaction. This is the code that is needed for in-person transactions, or POS, meaning point of sale transactions, where a card is physically used. And the last term we're going to cover is a drop. A drop is an address that a card fraudster will use to have items that they purchase with the stolen information delivered to. This could sometimes be an abandoned house or a property that a scammer is monitoring closely, or sometimes they're idiotic and just use their own addresses. So now that we got these basic terms down, let's discuss how these fraudsters are able to obtain this information. So like I discussed in my previous video, card scammers have physical means of stealing personal information, which includes stealing mail, robberies, skimming, etc. But in this video, we're going to focus more on the digital ways that scammers steal information, which of course revolves around the dark web. The dark web is pretty much Amazon for cyber criminals. Through the dark web, fraudsters can find all sorts of personal information, and I was also surprised at how cheap this information can be purchased for. Based on Privacy Affairs Dark Web Price Index for the year 2021, you can find a clone MasterCard with a PIN for $25. You can find a credit card with details and account balances up to $5,000 for only $240. You can also find stolen online bank logins with a minimum of $2,000 in it for $120. And of course, you can see the other things that was on this price index, which just shows that this information is in abundance and it is definitely going for the low. This info is listed on many dark web marketplaces using all the fraud lingo we discussed earlier, so scammers could pick out exactly which types of stolen information data sets they want to use. Crazy enough, these marketplaces can also be found outside of the dark web in hidden Telegram and Discord groups, and also on shady hidden message boards. This just shows, once again, there's no shortage of stolen information out there for these fraudsters to use to pull off these cyber credit card fraud schemes. So now that the fraudster has the information, it's time for them to pull off the scheme. Before getting started, it isn't as simple as going into a website and just using the stolen information. There are several steps a fraudster has to take first to have the highest probability of the card scam successfully going through. It's extremely important for a fraudster to hide their true identity when doing card fraud online. In order to do that, they must have several things in place first. The first step to the scam is spoofing their PC's MAC address or media access control address. A MAC address is a unique identification number every device that can be connected to a network is given. This step is important since it hides what device the fraudster is actually using, making it harder to potentially track the crime back to them. The next step in the fraud is setting up a VPN or a virtual private network. A VPN allows the fraudster to hide what they are doing online to their internet service providers, which is an additional layer in hiding their tracks. And the last step involving the fraudster setting up their anonymous connection is connecting through a SOX proxy. One of the biggest red flags in cyber credit card fraud is when scammers attempt to use stolen card information from an entirely different location of the true account holder. This will lead the bank to automatically reject the transaction and block the card. SOX, put simply, allows the fraudster to appear as if they're connecting to the internet from a different location. This is extremely critical in attempting to bypass credit card security measures that track where a card is being used from. For example, if a scammer stole someone's information in California and they were attempting to use it from Texas, SOX technology will allow them to mask their true locations and appear as if they're using the card from California, increasing the chances of the transaction going through. Once all of this is in place, the fraudster can now use the stolen information with a lot more confidence and proceed to have a shopping spree with your money. Next level scammers can also purchase credit card embossing machines and use the stolen information to create physical cards that they could try and use in person. But digital credit card scamming is the new wave in card fraud, and it's becoming much easier for fraudsters to pull it off every single day. Now, of course, when it comes to defending yourself against digital card fraud, the best things you could do is the same advice I've shared in many of my other videos. First, you got to make sure you set up alerts with all of your bank cards. Most of the time, a carder will do a smaller transaction on the card at first to see if the transaction will work before they do a larger transaction. By having alerts, you will be notified immediately when your card is used, and if you notice it's a transaction you didn't authorize, you can lock your card and contact your bank about it immediately. The next big thing to look out for is which websites you're actually using your bank and your personal information on. Scammers and fraudsters are known to use phishing and spoofing methods online to steal card information on a regular basis. A common method scammers use to steal information is called bank spamming. This is when scammers will send out fake messages from your bank or PayPal, Cash App, or from any other kind of payment system that informs you of some sort of suspicious activity or failed transaction that requires you to confirm your identity. Of course, when you confirm your identity, that's going right into the hands of the scammer and they proceed to steal your information. Always be careful with these messages and log in directly to the site to confirm if the message is indeed authentic. Lastly, be aware of data breaches that are released online and actively monitor your credit report. Thankfully, many credit monitoring services are free of charge and have features that let you know when your information has been a part of a data breach. Another site that you could use to track if your information has been exposed is haveibeenpwned.com. On this website, you can put in your email information or your phone number and see if it has been involved in the data breach, and if it has, you can take the necessary steps to protect your information. Credit card fraud accounted for over $129 million in losses in 2020 according to the IC3 2020 Internet Crime Annual Report, and is projected to be even higher in the coming years. So with this, it's extremely important that we informed on how these fraudsters are pulling off these schemes and what we got to do to protect our money. So of course, if you find value in this video, don't forget to hit the like button because that really helps get this information out to more people. And as always, subscribe to the channel to keep catching more of my content on financial fraud and how we can all stay ahead of it. So that's all I got for y'all today, guys. Peace.